Hello, friends. Welcome to the Morning Brew. And today we have a very interesting subject to discuss. It is the global news, and it is about the wheat export ban imposed by India. Well, if you know that India actually started off by exporting wheat to much needed countries like Egypt, and now for past 2 days we are hearing that the India has now taken a decision to ban export of wheat, and there has been a major hue and cry, especially in the G7 community and the Western world. And they are saying that, hey, this is not the right move of India. So let us now, in today's program, examine why India has banned the wheat export. So let's move on to understand where this whole situation started. Well, India is not the only country which is producing wheat. In fact, Europe's wheat basket, it was Ukraine before the war, and Ukraine was supplying their wheat. In fact, Ukraine and Russia together, they grow majority of wheat in the world, which is used for exports. So a small country with small population producing high yield, especially on the wheat, they were the major exporter of wheat across the world. And wherever there are wheat eating community people like Africa and Middle East, they were actually getting this wheat from Ukraine. And after the crisis, that supply is completely stopped. So the countries who are dependent on exporting wheat for their food are forced to look elsewhere. And where they have to look, I think the next best option is the Indian wheat. Now, India also produces huge amount of wheat. We all know that we are a wheat eating community. In fact, in India, there are two major crops based on the weather cycle, which is the wheat and the rice. And India being a large country, a lot of land mass, and also a lot of people living, almost 1.3 billion people living. So we produce a lot of rice, and we also produce a lot of wheat, and we also consume a lot of rice, and we consume a lot of wheat. So we are not the major wheat exporter country. We are a major wheat producing country, but we also have huge consumption. So now if we start to export wheat, which we want to do because that will give us more foreign exchange, but a lot of things have happened in past 1 week, and because of that Indian economy and Indian people who are actually maintaining Indian economy were forced to ban the export of wheat. And one of the major reason is the major heat wave which we are going through. I mean, we have never heard of these temperatures in the month of May. We are now touching 49, nearly 50 degrees centigrade. You can see this dark red part of the Indian area, which is showing a major heat wave. And what follows heat wave is a drought. So, and you can see this is the major wheat producing belt in India, which produce huge amount of wheat in a normal condition. Since we are going through a major heat wave, and what will follow now is drought, it is intelligent enough to store your food items rather than for few export opportunities and generating foreign exchange. We need to have food preserved in our country. That is first thought, and I thought I will analyze this and bring it in my program, so that in very simple layman terms, so that people understand without any political intervention. We need to have food, because after few days, after 20 days or so, if the drought kicks in, then we need to have food with us, so that we Indians can survive, eat food and survive. So that is point number one. Point number two is, in general, there has been an increase in inflation. There has been a major inflation across the world, and Europeans and the Americans are responsible for this crisis, because the world was coming out of COVID, economy was trying to improve across the world. Like, it's not only India, across the world, in every country. And then they started this conflict in Ukraine, because of which whole lot of changes have happened, and everything is becoming more expensive. For buying small stuff, you have to pay more. Buying oil, you have to pay more. So likewise, there are countries who want to buy wheat, for instance, they will have to pay more now. So the inflation is increasing across, and since we are living in a connected world, the global economy cannot be isolated from one another. So if you increase a price of one commodity in one part of the world, it will have a rippling effect on other commodities in other unrelated part of the world. So this is a reality of today, and because of whatever the reason, the reason we all know, it's the first COVID and now Ukraine crisis, there has been an increase in inflation across the world, across all countries, and India is not isolated from this effect. So what we are doing, we are actually trying to reduce the inflation by coming out with RBI guidelines, and RBI is asking people to remain floated in the market, so that the inflation can be controlled. So they can do as much as they can, and if they start shipping wheat out, there will be increase in inflation in India because of the food price rise. So it is no brainer, and that is why Indian government has decided to stop export of wheat outside India. I mean, that's the biggest two reasons that I can come up with. And that is why the wheat export is not happening out of India, even though G7 countries, which are the really big countries, including India, other G7s are saying this is not a right move, because they are affected by it. Their price, they are not able to control inflation in their own countries. So why blame India? So that is a blame game which is going on. But at this point in time, India has to watch its own interest, and in our interest, we have to ensure that our inflation does not go high beyond certain point. So stopping wheat export will ensure that the food inflation is not increase in next couple of months. However, I must clarify that the Indian government is fulfilling its existing commitment, like supply of wheat to Egypt, and they are also saying that in case there are countries who are who need wheat in a very critical situation, then they can approach to Indian people, business people, and case by case India can release wheat to those countries. And as we know that there are a lot of countries who are dependent on the Indian wheat, irrespective of what is happening in Europe. The African countries were buying wheat from Ukraine and Russia, but traditionally countries like Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and nearby Indonesia, Malaysia, all these countries in the Asia Pacific region, they actually buy wheat from India, and they are dependent on the Indian wheat. And because of that, Indian government is actually gracious enough to say that if you have a dire need, you come back to us and we will see what we can do. I think that is where we are, and we are going through we are actually foreseeing a drought situation in next couple of months, and at that point in time, if we do not get food, then it will be a big mess in India. So I think we have to watch out our interests, and I think that is why Indian government has taken this decision to ban the wheat export to other countries. So friends, this is what my feeling is, my 2 cents on this particular development, global development. Even though because of this there is an increase of 6% in the wheat price globally, but I think at this point in time we need to watch out for our interests. Do let me know what you think, share your comments, and as always, thanks for watching, and I will meet you in the next edition of Morning Brew.